Hello, my name is Smini Antoine, and this presentation is on assessing traits of Black women in the workplace. The objective of this presentation is to assess the different personality traits of Black women in the workplace, evaluate the different character traits of Black women and how it is defined. Also, we'll examine both the positive and the negative stereotype traits of Black women. It's important to examine unique personality traits associated with intersecting group identities. What is personality? Personality is made up of characteristic traits of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that make a person unique. In addition to this, personality arises from within the individual and remains consistent throughout their lifetime. Personality can play a role in the health field, such as diagnosing personality disorders or mental disorders, which can have a rigid and unhealthy pattern of thinking, functioning, and behaving. Personality can even impact the work performance within an environment, such as anxiety, loss of motivation, expectation, increase of pressure, or even uncovering unethical practices within the work environment. Personality in the workplace. Being positive and optimistic can influence others around you, and the same goes for negativity. Although you may not be able to change the cause of you having a bad day, we are all able to change our attitudes. Research has shown that if an employer hires the wrong person for a position that doesn't align with his or her personality, it can often lead to lower engagement. How can an employer select the correct person for the job? Though individuals may not be able to influence the cause of action, attitude, and behaviors, however, it's unlikely that a person can fit into a single mode because we do not all possess the same characteristics, values, traits, or even beliefs. Thus, in order to help in the process, there are many personality tests employers can select from. Societal issues. Black women are targeted more negatively than any other ethnic group historically due to rooted societal stereotypes. Stereotypes of Black women have grown as natural results of both scientific racism and legal challenges to both their personal and social life, subsequently causing unprofessionalism, judgment, unethical practices, biased image, unfair promotions, stereotype threats, all in the work environment. A test needs to be developed to help employers have a better understanding of Black women perception and of what the world views them as, because it will help avoid unethical practices within the workplace. Assessing traits of Black women in the workplace has not been tested before, but there are numerous research that correlates with the topic. For this presentation, we'll discuss a couple of research topics that can help develop a test to assess traits of Black women in the workplace. Indirect stereotype changes in artificial and real-life stereotypes. The main argument of this article is the indirect stereotype changes of a few groups, for example, men and women. The article helps by grouping stereotypes and describing how the group differs, such as gender stereotypes. It also aids in providing about stereotype relevant information on how one group may affect the stereotypes, not only that is the targeted group, but also the alternative group. The article demonstrates the competency-related aspect of stereotypes and gender stereotypes, newly formed stereotypes, and real-life stereotypes, taking the form of stereotypes decreasing under the influence of stereotypes inconsistent information, or of stereotypes enhancement under the influence of stereotypes information. The study involved two subjects designs, where the participant rated two groups at 2 times before and after additional information was provided to the groups. The subject participant rating to an ANOVA was stereotypes consistency, information gender, and participant gender between subject variables and with the dimension target of gender. This study's finding was incredible. It demonstrated that indirect stereotype changes can occur in real life, even with firmly grounded stereotypes. For example, stereotypes that you may have of ethnic groups growing up to experiencing those particular ethnic group on your own. It also is the first to demonstrate indirect stereotype changes in the sense of stereotype enhancement as well as the sense of stereotype reduction. For example, the portrayal of media of a certain stereotype versus what literature tells you about that particular stereotype group. Another finding was stereotype relevant message enhanced gender stereotypes about leadership, such as being told men should be in the form of a leader versus women. If the stereotype was relentlessly consistent where it reduced the stereotype, this meant the stereotype was inconsistent. It also affected the stereotype not only with gender being described, but other groups. In other words, the findings showed depending on our environment and surroundings, we tend to develop certain stereotypes about certain groups because that's the information we're provided. However, we can be untaught certain stereotypes about certain groups. But in order for that to happen, we have to encounter those stereotype groups to disprove the certain stereotypes we have about that particular group. So why are we discussing this article? This topic objective is important because it helped lay out a form of stereotype threats, traits of women, men, and even ethnic group. So the source was extremely helpful in providing research to the presentation topic, thus making the argument more solid for this topic. Modern Manny and the Angry Black Men, African American Professionals' Experience with Gendered Racism in the Workplace. This article explores the way that Black professionals experience prejudice in the workplace. It draws evidence from interviews with 23 Black professional workers and compares the way that prejudice is classified for those Black men and women daily. It also explores the way racism responds to racial insults. This article argues how the nature of racism in the workplace can impact minorities. According to the article, the interviewers felt they could be classified as an angry Black woman if they spoke up or disapproved of anything in the workplace. Controlling the image of the angry Black women is an image suggests that Black women rage racism is unfortunate and baseless and supports the perception of Black women as a threat and a danger to society. The suggestion of this in the workplace are seen in many of the respondents unwilling to confront racial hostile at work. Thus, this image controls Black women by presenting their anger at racism as unjust paranoia that threatens to dismantle the social order. Grounded theories, methods of this article reveals that Black professionals' experience with gender racism often took a form of combating controlled image. Interestingly, Black women encountered with gender racism invoked controlling image. Specifically, gender racism in the professional workplace often meant Black women were expected to conform to controlling images of the modern man, or they would be sexualized, objectified, and classified as an angry Black women if they did not control their mannerism. For this presentation, we'll only discuss the findings found on Black women in this article. The Black professional woman, the most common controlling image they have had to encounter was the image characterized as the modern Manny. The modern Manny is expected to sacrifice every aspect of a personal life in order to demonstrate unshakable loyalty to white people. But for this article, it would represent their boss, institution, or organization. The image of Black women by quality of gender has been easily exploited. According to Wingfield, the Black women they interviewed have often encountered situations where they were expected to accept unreasonable demands, willing to accept compromising roles, or silently accepted disrespectful treatment to avoid potentially disrupting the smooth inner working of the organization. In other words, the co-workers expected Black women to fit an image of the modern Manny through willingness to make innumerous personal sacrifice for the sake of the business while not objecting to any dissatisfaction. This article is important because it presents information fairly and credibly and allows the reader to draw their own conclusion on the image of Black women, thus providing supportive detail to help further studies on Black women traits in the workplace. Each study on the previous screen has showed some form of correlation between the work environment, personality traits, stereotypes, and job qualities among our targeted demographic group, Black women. So, whose job is it to make sure the organization is running at an ethical standard? Industrial organization psychologists and human resource managers fundamentally comprehend human behavior. Both of their focuses are different. Industrial organization and HR are concerned with understanding and explaining why individuals do what they do as the behavior associated with the workplace. IO psychologists in HR department support organizations by aiding in the process of understanding the organization environment and process. The approach used is permitted interaction among internal environments and the good and services transferring out or productivity of the establishment. Industrial organization psychologists or HR construct the connection of how employees' relations affect and can cause different outcomes for the organization and the environment. Not only are they tasked with the job of keeping the organization afloat, but they also have to assist with job analysis, revising if needed, recruitment, selection, and training strategies. It is their job to help generate consciousness in the organization, to find solutions to obstacles, handle stereotype threats, and discriminations that are faced in the work environment to eliminate those barriers. Unfortunately, Black women have had to deal with unprofessionalism, judgment, unethical practices, biased image, unfair promotion, stereotype threats, all in the work environment due to ignorance. As previously stated from the two research articles discussed, employers expect Black women to fit a certain image and develop certain stereotypes due to printed image of society. Though there are numerous assessments that evaluate the Black woman, regrettably, there are none that specifically assess personality traits that of a Black woman in the workplace. One weakness of this research is the limited amount of information on Black women's traits. Others may consider this to be a strength to further research specifically on the topic. Critics may also view the research as being racially biased or even being one-sided because the results will be concluded by only Black women. But the topic can assist in furthering studies by helping to discover if employees are satisfied with their job, if they're lying about being satisfied with their current employer. It can help to reveal if individuals feel secure in their current position. Organizations can use it to test if training and hiring processes to avoid stereotype threats or biased decision in their organization. Controlling the image of the Black woman at the work or forming strategies to counter the negative image of that have been impactful effect on the organization. Either way, the study will be beneficial for future employers, organizational psychologists, or even human resource management. Because of those reasons, this test will provide a better understanding of the Black woman perception of what the world views them as to help individuals listed above, such as employers. Also, it will help avoid any unethical practices in the workplace, such as stereotype threats during the hiring process and even in the work environment. Applications in society. Why is it important to measure personality traits of Black women in the workplace? Comprehending personality traits is important in reference to employment. This research should be developed to help understand the dynamics of Black women in the workplace. Not only will it help give organization a prospective idea of a different candidate's application, it will also allow management to provide employees, such as Black women, the professional role they deserve within their organization. This study can also evaluate if applicants will be satisfied with the position due to the work environment, thus providing job satisfaction in the workplace they are seeking. This study is culture specific because it focuses specifically on race, gender, language, and population. If an IO psychologist or HR department decides to apply this study to the work environment, they should assess other participants from different organizations that have a variety of ethnic women working in the organization. Of course, the targeted demographic should be women of African descent and should be employees. But because we do not want to single out a specific group, everyone should be required to take the evaluation, thus eliminating untruthful responses from the targeted test taker group. Questionnaires should be required for the individuals taking it. This way, they can identify the statements that reflect and least reflect their point of view. The assessment should consist of multiple choice questions that uses a scale ranging from strongly agree to strongly disagree. Not only will this test help employers have a better understanding of the Black women perception of what the world views them as, it also will help avoid any unethical practices in the workplace. However, this research can be used for different demographic groups as well to improve on their items stated on the slide. It would be the job of the industrial organization psychologists, human resource management department to develop a test and research how effectively they could incorporate this practice in their organization through training and assessment. Conclusion. Nevertheless, discrimination is not a pandemic to the employment environment, but having policies and procedures can minimize potential problems within the organization. Testing and other selection techniques are useful to society because organizations and civilizations have flaws. Thus, there must be some guideline in order to keep us aligned and fair. Subsequently, that's why HR must evaluate strategies to minimize and eliminate unfairness, bias, or unjust actions within the work environment. The future of staffing techniques and procedures are essential because it does yield better and fair results for applicants and organizations to find the best candidates for a position. Black women, as previously stated, are targeted more negatively than any other ethnic group due to societal stereotypes. Assessing the different personality traits of Black women in the workplace and how it is defined can assist in a better work environment not only for Black women, but other ethnic groups. IO and human resource functions are vital. Management are the glue to keeping an organization effectively running. They are tasked with understanding the goal of the company, conducting needs assessments for organization, employee satisfaction, determining the skills needed, training, employee needs, and improving the organization as a whole. Helping to eliminate and controlling image of Black women or any other ethnic group image in the work environment can assist in lessening any discrimination within the workplace. When employees are pleased, they are able to produce a positive performance outcome within the workplace, ultimately helping the organization achieve the bottom line goal.